We thought we knew the sky. We thought the missiles would scream past us, not home in on our faces. Then 3 of them came, changing everything in a single breath. This is the moment men on the ground stop trusting the instruments on paper and start betting with their lives. Before we break down what happened and why this system's past still haunts the present, hit subscribe to Military Technology. We bring you frontline truth, not glossy specs. The weapon the soldiers called the Hawk has roots that stretch back to the Cold War. Designs, upgrades, 3 major modernization phases. Built from ideas born in the 1950s, iterated through decades of testing, it was meant to be the beginning of something greater, a precursor to the kind of layered air defense that was supposed to keep skies safe. On paper, it's elegant. A seeker head that locks on to emissions, a guidance loop that naps until it tastes a signal, then dives like a hunting bird. In labs and manuals, it's predictable. In war, it becomes a story of timing, of signal loss, and of the human hands that must operate and repair the machine in the dark. I remember the night, one operator later said. It starts like any other shift. The radios hum, the displays blink. Night or day doesn't matter when shells are falling. The first time I locked onto a target, there was raw adrenaline. It felt like everything at once. Now, after many shifts, I don't notice that rush the same way. You get used to being watched from the sky. That night, they saw 3 missiles coming. Small, fast, swapping altitudes, unpredictable. They call them by their designations, X-59, X-69, names that mean very little until you hear their engines. For the crew, those names became a rhythm. Detect, track, decide. But the rhythm frays when signals drop, when the seeker searches and the target vanishes into noise. In cold truth, soldiers revealed that sometimes the system climbs, hunts, and only when it finds the signal, it dives and destroys. Other times, it loses contact, and everything depends on operator skill, situational awareness, and luck. Technically speaking, the system is a collection. Antenna arrays feeding a computer, control panels routing power and modes, launchers assembled and serviced by teams who work through nights. The antenna pulls raw data. The onboard computer fuses it. The control station, the BCP, authorizes engagement. In theory, 1 target, 1 interceptor. In practice, the world is noisy. The seeker head is semi-active. If the missile has a lock on a signal reflected from the ground or target, it homes cleanly. If it loses that signal, it climbs, begins to search, flicking its head across frequencies. Then, if it reacquires, it plummets to correct the intercept. That behavior is brilliant on paper, and maddening when every second counts. This platform was, historically, one of the building blocks that led to later systems, the ancestors of the Patriot class concepts. But upgrades only go so far. Even a modernized seeker can be confounded by decoys, jamming, or by a flight profile that deliberately changes altitude. And missiles that can vary their altitude and signature expose a design weakness that training and hardware upgrades alone can't always fix. What's rarely visible in glossy analyses is the sheer human labor behind keeping such systems alive. Crews that haul launchers at night, techs that cannibalize spares and patch wiring, teams that turn out at all hours to reprogram, test, and reassemble. They log how many launches that night, how many rockets were sent up, how many were intercepted. Then they go back to patching, welding, and praying. One operator said, "It's titanic work. The machine doesn't run itself. People do this. Without them, nothing happens." That line is a sobering reminder. Hardware is only as good as the hands that tend it. Between the beeps and the metal, there are faces. Men who drank the adrenaline and then had to keep living with the memory of what they saw. They celebrate a successful intercept quietly, and they mourn the nights when a system didn't find the signal in time. When you talk to them, you hear a complicated pride. Proud of the tech, but angry when that same tech fails them. They know the theory, they know the manual, but war rewrites the rulebook in real time. And the cost is not an entry on a spec sheet. It's a human life. Back to that night. 3 missiles, variable altitude, and a seeker that hunted like a lost animal before it struck. The countdown is invisible to viewers at home. A half-second of indecision. A command keyed in. The missile arcs, and one intercept follows another. Sometimes the system behaves like the bird of prey it's named for, diving and killing the threat. Other times, the signal slips away, and the missile climbs, searching, and the crew holds their breath. That split second, when the system finds the signal and the missile dives, is everything. It's victory. It's survival. But it's also a reminder. The design is imperfect, the situation is messy, and the men are left to bridge the gap. War reveals the difference between a diagram and the real thing. It forces you to ask, are modern air defenses truly ready for the chaotic, adaptive threats they face today? The answer isn't binary. It's about upgrades, yes, and about training, maintenance, and the people who bend metal back into service under fire. If you want more breakdowns that mix frontline testimony with technical reality, subscribe to Military Technology. Leave a comment on what you want us to analyze next, and share this video so others see what the spec sheets don't tell them. And see you in the next story.